Next one was, they were kind of small, there was 126 total. We bought culverts for $1,140. We had 14 invoices for Clarence Brown, anywhere from $6.41 to $4.25. So it was a bunch of small ones. There was 8 tax overpayments, but that's it, and everything looks in order. And I would make a motion that we approve the warrants dated 9/03/19 for $32,401.84.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, our bills are paid. We'll go on to Jessica to pay our
I
people.
think there's other bills, though.
There are.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said payroll.
Oh, we're moving on to payroll.
There's a
I know,
rather
I've got
large
2
bill.
more. I got 2 more.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
gonna save the best for last.
Okay.
All right. So I have 2 payroll warrants. The first is August 23rd, 2019 for $21,029.49. And the second is August 30th, 2019 for $35,030.98. I make a
Second.
motion that we approve these warrants.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Bruce has the industrial park account and the industrial development fund account.
Yeah, so I've got an infrastructure account payment going to Connor Construction, and they're the contractor that's doing the work over at the new DPW location. And that payment is for $719,835.30. So I'll make a motion that we approve this payment to Connor Construction.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, my second warrant is for the industrial park. We have 3 individual payments going to Drumick. Drumick is the septic company that has been working with UL and pumping that station out over there. Those 3 invoices that we have for them total $3,632.63. The total invoice is for $84,359.94, with $80,727.31 of that being half a payment for the new pump that we're buying for the pump station. I make a motion that we approve this industrial park warrant.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Worth noting on the pump and the funds, they get billed back to the park tenants. It's not a general fund cost. Moving on. Al, do you have any corrections for minutes? Or anyone else? I know I always pick on Al, but
It's okay. It's a minor one, but I don't want the town to be accused of employing a minor. So on August 22nd, officials and staff present, I would like to correct that President and Chair Brendan Al Standukas, I would say Jessica Frost and guest Caitlin Frost. Caitlin Frost.
Oh, right. We didn't not employ Caitlin.
Right, we're not employing her since she's underage. That's other than that's the only correction that I have.
you want to do it?
I just
do
had
that,
one
Dave. I'll
as
give you
well.
that.
On
Okay.
page 3, it just says Jay Frost explained that her cousin is on active duty. It's my husband. I'm
Oh,
sure of that.
I'm sure. Are you sure?
Any further corrections?
No.
Okay. All in
So you
favor?
have 2, Jessica's and mine.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You've got 2 corrections. So does anybody want to make a motion to
I'll
accept
move
these
that we
minutes as
accept the
amended?
minutes as amended.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Minutes are approved. We do have a good update that Stan.
There's 2 other sets of minutes there, please.
Wait. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry.
Your special minutes from the
Right, we
27th.
had
Oh,
two
yeah, I
more.
went by.
Yeah,
Yep.
I forgot. I'll move them as written.
Any second.
I'll second.
Thank
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for that catch, Jen.
Thank you.
Stan brought a good little nugget of information to my attention. On the 10th of August, we received another quarterly payment for the local option tax, $232,582.88. And that, again, is It's what we're using to, primarily right now is what we're using as a funding source for brick and mortar. Could be used towards sidewalks in the future, but it's revenue that's not a property tax, so it's helpful. I know we all got our property tax bills 6 weeks ago, so it's nice, if all the funding that we're spending on new buildings was included in those property tax bills, they'd be quite a bit higher. The LLT is an excellent resource.
That's one of the lesser amounts that we've gotten from them too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the highest.
It's the highest? Wow.
It averages 800,000 a year or so.
Oh, okay.
That being almost $250,000 in one shot. So we are to agenda item number 5, which is public comment. Is anybody here tonight to make a public comment? Any member of the board wish to make a comment as a member of the public? I've seen that done before, so I always ask. Hearing no one, I'll move on to agenda item number 6, the town manager's report.
Thank you. So the first item here is public service announcement of sorts. We've discovered recently that some of the 911 addresses in town are not fully compliant. We're going to need to change some addresses. We're starting with McQuam Shore Road and Brigham Road. You have in your packets a draft of the letter that we're going to send out to people. So if there's any suggestions you have for changing them, I know I've heard a couple. Al happened to be in the office when we were talking about one, so we asked him for comments, but anything you can add to it, if you think we need to, let us know. We're gonna send those out mid-September, asking people to make the necessary changes as soon as they can, but we're gonna be letting the post office and other databases know fairly soon. It just takes a little bit of time before they all catch on, before it pops up in your automatic address locator.
Could I interject?
Yes.
That this is for the benefit of all the people who live on the road, primarily in case that there's an emergency in your house, that the ambulance or the fire trucks or the police cars will know how to get there promptly and efficiently. So it's a two-way street. We know it's a burden, but by the same token, it's for your own health and safety.
Right.
Is it all the houses on the road or certain houses?
I think almost every single address will have a change of sorts because they weren't done as strict as they perhaps should have been to every 10th, or I don't know the formula, but there's a formula that's being applied because right now in some spots, even on McQuam, there aren't any open numbers and yet there's vacant lots. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask what constitutes the changes.
It basically, the 9/11, I forget the exact numbers, but you take the major crossroad and then you count X number of feet to set your addresses.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
which accounts for people splitting lots. It gives you that sort of flexibility, and to Al's point, lets people focus on.
Ned, you have a point?
It's a divisible of a mile. It's either 5.28 feet or 52.8 feet. And it's automatically calculated by a GPS unit as you roll down the street from a specific starting location.
Okay.
So if you have condominiums or townhouses at 5.28 feet, you could have 2 or 3 numbers between each, say, front door.
That can cause a little bit of, there's a lot of changes, not just changing the number. If you change somebody's address, I mean, there's a little bit to that.
Taxes
it's a
my
burden.
memory.
It is frustrating, actually, and
Well, you're gonna have people that have lived at the same address for 50 years.
it
that are gonna
happened to
have
me
no
3
address.
years ago. I'd been
It
living there
happens.
for 15 years, and I had to change my address, and I never moved.
Change
so-
mailing labels, you might have to change the
Everything.
address on your checks, the whole 9 yards.
Driver's license?
Driver's license.
Everything.
Yeah, so anyway, those
Does
others are going
this
out.
address change request form?
That was our previous template letter before we amended it to the first one you had, because this is
Are you ready
This
for
is
those
what we're
changes?
sending, we're not sending.
correct. Yes,
That is better.
yes, should have clarified that. But that was what was done before when an address on a case-by-case basis was changed.
Hey, I mean, I'd apologize, but again, like Al said, it's a life and safety thing, and
People rely more on GPS now than they ever did.
You know, if you adapted this address, you're the one that was used in the past, so that, like the post office has cards where you're going to change your address, they have pre-printed cards.
Yep.
We might make a pre-printed letter that they could copy themselves to add to all their, whoever they're gonna send
And
addresses
they could
out.
use that.
Yeah.
You've got,
Yeah.
you know, every utility company has an option to change your address on the back of a
Yeah.
stub.
Right.
But if those
It's
things,
just a
that-
hassle of, I mean, you probably sink 3-4 hours into changing your address.
oh, yeah.
So that's every house on McGowan Shore Road?
Oh, yeah.
And Brigham, including our own property.
Oh, wow.
Well, good thing we
We're not without change.
To Bruce's point, does that require you change your check, your driver's license, physical addresses? Because
I'm sorry, so
everyone-
before you, could you tell us your name?
Steve Benyon.
Okay.
Cherry Street.
Yep.
I'm aware of the ambulance needing to find the 911
Yep.
number on your mailbox. So if you post that and leave B, that satisfies them, because not everybody's using dial-up phones for 911 or cell, so they've got your green 911 letters on your mailbox, if that's what they want. You can still keep your personal mailing residence if you want, without changing your check, your driver's license, your passport, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would you not be able to?
I don't think you can do that, no.
No.
So
because
far
it
as
won't
your
be
driver's license goes and your ID cards for getting back and forth across the border, they have to be changed with the federal government.
So what constitutes your physical address?
Your-
911? Dictates
Right.
your
Yes.
physical address?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it does
Yes.
now, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
It's,
It
yeah,
does.
it's not,
Should be able to accommodate both, I think.
No, it just, you can't do it.
what's.
There's not a lot of wiggle room there, unfortunately.
It's all set if you got a PO box, huh?
Well, I mean, that is a weighted,
Yeah, I know. I
No,
was
even
just
with the
kidding.
PO,
Still-
even with the PO box, your driver's license has to have your
I
physical
know,
address on it.
yeah.
No fun at
all right, so if there's no changes, there's no action needed on that. I just wanted to alert people that that was happening in case.
And I'm sure that if anybody had any questions after receiving this letter or wanted help with the steps moving forward, that
Yep.
the assessor's office would be able to help with that.
Absolutely. So the B is a planning update. Ned is here, Grant is here, and Aaron is also here. So we have a number of things under planning. You can come up at any time. And the first item we have is a capital improvement program. There's a draft in your packets. Obviously, we have a plan right now. It's expiring next year, so the planning commission's been working on it. I don't know for how long exactly, but I know for a little while. May? Okay, there you go, since April, I think it was.
As Kerry said, it's basically an update from the existing plan that ends in a couple of months. And it goes from 2020 to 2025, and it's very straightforward. It follows the same process as the other one did. There's minimal expansion of additional, the minimal expansion of the revenue and minimal expansion of their expenditures. And it follows the same process as the previous one. All the existing data is from Anna and the clerk's office. And key thing to recognize, it's a guide, it's not a mandate. It's a tool to see where we're going. Most of the planning and in it is very straightforward. Fire department and DPW, the trucks and equipment are all pre-programmed as they have a useful life, and we change them based on their existing useful life.
Mhm.
It's pretty straightforward. The only new thing that the planning commission and I added was the back page, the last page that says other planning considerations, and it has other items that we know are pending that are sort of big dollar expenses that we'll have either right at the end or near to the end of in 2025. So, it's here for your review, comment, and we'll be happy to take comments and go back and work on it if needed.
And can you also remind me of what the approval process is? I know we've talked about it, but is it the planning commission approving it, then it comes back to the select
Yeah.
board for approval?
Yeah, once we get the select board's comments, the planning commission will do an official vote, have a public meeting, and then we'll be back here for the official public hearing with the full notification, and then it'll be ready to go and be accepted and follow through from there. And then it'll become a part of the policy of the town of St. Albans.
Well, it helps planning for budgeting purposes, which is key to get done before the fall.
We thought it helped budget for planning purposes, but
So, if I look at the fifth year that's ending, and I got so much money, like, for fire trucks, right now, I think it's $121,600, and I see here it's going to $126,000. How much of an increase will the next 5 years have by year versus what I've been going to the taxpayers with?
for the first couple of years, it'll have no increase. It continues because we've been giving,
I see that till 22 and it starts.
and then it goes to 125.
Yeah, so I would like to look at what is the total impact, not an impact, but what is the difference that we're gonna go to the taxpayers with? Because it'll be in our general fund.
Because the 125 will be in our general fund
Right,
budget.
but that's just fire department. I'm
Right,
sure the
right.
DPW has got some and the other departments have an increase. I just wanna know what the total increase is. I try to find it, and
I'm not sure it would be in,
It's on page 6 of your expense reports. We transfer $126,000 a year to the fire department. DPW reserve, we transfer $52,845. And capital project, we vote on that. That's $10,000.
so it'll still be in the same place on the main budget, that last section.
Is obviously, be a budget item.
So it's right before the infrastructure development.
And both Bobby and
it doesn't have it on the last page.
It's 10,997, other financing and uses.
No, this budget.
What page you got there?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the regular budget she was talking about.
So, Dan,
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, what you want is in the capital plan,
To have an aggregate.
year-on-year increase.
What is increased?
Coming from the general fund, is that correct?
What is increased by departments?
By department, so broken out even. So you want the total, but also broken out by.
Total's good enough for me, but
I would like to know
That's relatively easy
department.
to do, I think.
Yeah.
increase over what?
over what we've been doing for the last 5 years, like I see the stone house, we got money going in, which,
Right,
and it's gotta be in the appropriations, right?
right.
So I just wanna know how much, that's all.
Some of these increases are based on things that are outside of our control, like the inflation of equipment. So Bobby and I guessed on how much one of the bigger trucks would be.
I don't care if it's a guess or actual, but we're gonna go to the voters, and I just wanna know.
Right.
I guess that's all the more reason why I'd like to see it by department.
It is by department. It is by department or spending category. We tried to associate the spending categories.
Grant.
So that's why I'm saying this is a year-on-year. Is that we aren't setting an arbitrary basis of, say, 2019 and trying to peg everything off it. If we just say, not adjusted for inflation, but, how much more is 2020 to 2019, 2021 to 2020?
Right,
Going down the road, and
Yeah.
be able to see
Right.
how it upticks
Right.
in terms of what's coming in that general. Because
Right.
part of what we did when we were budgeting is we tried to allocate spends to align both with planning objectives, but also with LOT funds when those become available,
mm-hmm,
right? In order to minimize impact of general fund. So I think it wouldn't be too hard to put in those.
Right.
general fund numbers.
I just
Easy
don't
enough.
wanna look every year,
Wait, you'll have it mapped out right
fire
in front of you.
department now.
Right.
Have it-
Actually, part of that is already reflected on page, it's actually in the report twice, the bottom of page 16.
Yeah.
It has each department and each spending category. So it should be pretty straightforward to just, I can add a 2019 category column and extend that across.
And so just for clarification on 16, that revenue for the fire department is the sale of our current truck, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you look at it, there's ones that says apparatus sale, and it says we're
I saw in here, like, for the Parks and Rec,
Can you put that on the
F-350 with a plow. Why do I want a plow for a park truck? Unless you're gonna use it in the winter. parks are usually closed in the winter, so I didn't know if the truck was parked or you got another operator you're throwing in.
350 is the truck that normally I check the roads and plow with. If we're keeping the parks open later, we might have
Yeah.
to keep things plowed there. We do plow Cohen every winter just
Right.
for the.
It's just that I saw with plow and it was in the Parks Department and I said, why?
There's some of it you plow regardless, right? Just for
price.
accessibility, like to the stone house and stuff, right? Yeah.
I have a,
I'm just gonna say, you know, for trucks, you know, I believe that a lot of those trucks will pay just in general, because that's a good way to get them
Yeah.
front, so they can be used for that function, even if that's not their primary purpose. I think
It's good to have, no question about it, but it just,
it's not necessarily a plow truck, it's a truck.
Yeah. you know, like on the last page there, 221, sidewalk construction schedule, is that to the master plan or is that to what was inputted?
It's to the master plan and to the sidewalk ordinance and to the sidewalk plan.
Okay.
It was basically an extension of all the work we've been doing over the last couple of years.
The approximately $150,000 per year using the impact fee funds, is that based on last? I mean, this is a new ordinance, but where'd that number come from?
We, well, it's a guess, frankly. We know how many subdivisions we have in here. We can ballpark how many linear frontage, how much frontage they have. You know, that times 35 gives us a number. We fiddled with it a little bit. In fact, reduced it a little bit, saying, okay, we'll have a little bit less, the limits a little slower. We get that number, and that ends up, that sort of, with some other stuff, gets you the, I forget where it is, basically something like around $40,000, $45,000 in annual revenue.
it's worth, great.
And I would add, I believe that those kick in not immediately.
Yeah.
And that's because it's gonna take some time for that ordinance to get in place and start down.
Also worth noting that on page 20 is the breakdown of the public works equipment for the next 5 years. They've got $100,000 in 2025 programmed in for some type of a tractor with a sidewalk snow blowing capability. So we're proactively thinking about maintaining sidewalk networks if we do propose to build them. That's included in this plan. Now, what wouldn't be included in this plan would be the person to run it, and that'd be another general fund expense that we could discuss later. But we are, just think in your own mind, when we talk about expanding our network of sidewalks, we're thinking that we might need the capability to maintain them in the winter months by 2025, and the money is in there. So, proactive thinking, as always, but worth noting. I have one question.
Well, I have to say that was mainly Alan.
Well, I'll make a note. Never mind. So page 14, I have a couple small questions, just clarifications. Looking at FY18 and FY19 for the infrastructure development reserve account, just the activity breakdown. I'm just noticing just to start a discussion that the LOT revenue fell in the neighborhood of about $90,000 from FY18.
There's something wrong with the math on there, I noted that.
And then we've got a grant for the salt shed for 19,985. Is that the grant that we actually got for the stone house from historical preservation?
How much was it again?
Separate, almost 20,000.
The local option tax at $30,000. Is that what you're seeing missing?
Well, I'm looking at FY18 total LOT revenue of $856,928, which is about $35,000, almost over $40,000 worth of growth from FY17. FY17 is almost $80,000-$90,000 worth of growth from FY16, and then we get to FY19 and we're at $763,000, which is, what is that, like an $87,000 drop? I'm just trying to make sure that that's the real number.
It's not a drop, because we're not done that. I mean, I thought there was more that year.
We took $30,000 out of LOT that Jeff Davis,
It was 130.
Right, but that's listed
$130,000,
in there in FY.
and we put it in the stone house.
We did.
But that's listed in FY18. That's
Yep.
just a it was a donation transfer, and that's reflected in the account balance, and as the total income after expenses for that calendar year. But I'm just noticing that FY19 revenue line for the LOT was down significantly, about 10%. And then I'm wondering if that grant that's noted on here for the salt shed is actually the grant that we received for the stone house. I'm unsure.
It should be around, it should be $20,000 even, not 19,985.
Well, who knows? They could have withheld the postage for
Wasn't
15
that-
bucks by the time we get a check. I don't know.
Part of that
We
from,
haven't received any funds for it yet.
So did we get a separate small grant
I have
for the salt shed?
expenditures and revenues for every single year.
Right.
that I can supply.
That'd be cool. I just want to count it against this just to make sure this is right. Because if we're seeing a 10% drop in 1 year on LOT revenue, that's a note to me.
It just doesn't look right. The numbers don't look right there.
I just saying, it kind of startled me a little
No, I
bit when I
agree with
noticed
you.
that 10% drop, and I just want to make sure that that's the real number. And if it is, it's good to note that there's a 10% swing.
We just got done saying earlier that the LOT's been going up.
And
every year
it
instead of
has
going
been,
down.
so that's why those
Well,
numbers
yeah,
are
I mean,
not-
you start in 2015 that was the first full calendar year. You've got 596,000, and then FY18 you're at 856,000. So, I mean, we're in the range of normal, and I'm not overly concerned. I just want to know that that's the case. But it sounds like Anna might even be going to check that. I'm just trying to figure out in my own mind if we're seeing steady growth year on year, or if we saw some sort of a correction in that revenue line. Just didn't make sense. That's all.
Well, you can tell the math is just, there might be a formula wrong, because FY16 says our account balance is 1.3 million. You add 821,000.
I know we were at like 3.5. But we had enough cash on hand to pay for our portion of the Department of Public Works.
But even without that, even if you
voted to fund it, but I'm
Look
not.
at this one spreadsheet, the 1.3 million, if you add 800,000, you don't get 1.5
Well, I
million.
know the math's off on it, but I'm specifically at that
After that,
revenue
it's-
line.
I see, yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
we'll look into it.
And I mean, we just got one of our largest quarterly payments ever. So we should see growth on that year to year. And if we don't see growth, it's because people aren't coming to spend money in Saint Albans Town. And maybe there's another couple underlying problems that we need to address if that were the case. I'm not saying it is. I just want to know. That's all.
Okay,
These are the numbers Anna gave us, so.
But
we'll have to-
well, we'll just
Right.
look at it, because that
right,
isn't-
it's not a big deal,
Gave us-
and there's no.
we've already spent a lot of time on it, makes it a big deal.
Al?
could you also look at the stone house? I'm not sure all the,
Grants?
no, the donations for the benches.
Oh, yes, sure.
Are accounted for.
Yep, yep.
And we've got, and this is good work.
Yes, excellent,
This is really good work.
comprehensive.
Yep,
It
it
is.
is.
And I don't see anything in here that jumps off the page at me other than that one thing. I mean,
Yep.
you read a 22-page report that in depth about government operations, and you have one little footnote to check math on something. That's a pretty good body of work.
It's a lot of work.
Can I just ask what year again that was?
2019,
FY19?
the total revenue from the LOT for 2019. Just wondering what it was. But,
The one you were on
yeah.
What was the
For the
total
year.
revenue for it that year? Yeah,
for FY19?
Yeah.
correct.
Our last fiscal year. But we can, does anybody have any other questions about this, or any questions for the, Yeah.
When did that fiscal year?
June
July.
30th.
Did we start working on this before July?
there might even be a payment.
We got those numbers just after July, like July 10th or so, whenever the fiscal year's closed by, so.
Did we close those?
Yeah, it closed.
Yeah, it could have been something like that, but
868,093.
That's why there was a delay between
And
one
what
meeting
year?
and a couple.
Fiscal
We
year
got the last one.
that's what I thought.
868.
We have a,
We got one more question.
Stanley?
These numbers for when the increase in the reserves, or even if we didn't increase the reserve, they were good for 5 years with the voters?
The capital improvement plan isn't necessarily directly voted on by
No,
the
no.
voters.
The funds that are appropriated, the voters, remember? They signed them for a 5-year period, I think. Was there some number of years, Anna?
What's that, I'm sorry?
The voters approved a reserve fund?
For a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
Right.
For
Some
5
are
years?
10, some are 5, some are 7.
But now
Okay,
they're all combined and we only fund them once a year though,
Right.
through the
They're
budget.
all undesignated, but.
so
And they're funded through the
does
budget.
those fund increases approved by the voters correlate with what Ned is showing us today?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why the 121.6 for the fire
Right.
department
Okay.
is an example.
So we should be clean there. We just have to ask the voters again when they're come due to do that increase.
No, what we do now, instead of the 5 and 10-year plan, is each year we put it in our general fund and ask for approval on that year's budget. We don't ask for a 10-year payment plan at $10,000 a year anymore. It's X amount for all of DPW once a year. It's done,
I thought we asked it by departments, no?
it is by department in the back of the budget, yes, but it's not per truck or per fire truck anymore.
No, I understand
Okay.
that, but
It's all
it's for a lump sum of
Yes,
money,
yes, it
Yes.
is.
So
Yep.
you're asking for approval from the voters yearly now, instead of,
not yearly.
Well, through
Getting
the
a-
budget, essentially, if
instead
they,
of getting a 5-year,
Yes,
yes.
That's what I'm asking.
if they wanted to,
but it's annual, not
Oh,
not
yeah,
5-year
yeah.
lumps or anything.
Right, annually.
But as long as this increase
Caveat
in
to-
the capital plan correlates with.
Yes,
then
it
it's
does
good.
that, I just didn't want to.
and another, just,
Well, it sounds like this is the guidelines for the next 5 years. And then when
Right.
we make the budget, this last page with the other planning considerations, you can adjust it if a big
Right.
project comes along.
absolutely.
Okay.
Well, like they've got, on page 18, they've got about $3.5 million designated for a new town hall, broken out over 2021 to 2025 and, similar but different increments. And they've got a 5-point note on it, why they did it that way. They've accounted for where they want to take money from, but we've got a committee open right now, the Town Hall Relocation Committee. We've toured 2 existing facilities. We're looking for any and all options. And again, if you have an option that you think the town should explore, bring it to us. We'd love to look at it. We're evaluating the work that the previous infrastructure committee had already done. They had gone through about over 20 different parcels of vacant land. It could be sooner. We could come to you with a question in March for a town hall. So this is just a guideline. It could be expensed sooner. Hopefully it's not any later than this, but again, the planning commission thought of it and it's in here. This is just a really comprehensive plan, and it's really indicative of the quality members that we have on the planning commission right now, and how level-headed and pragmatic they are, and how forward-thinking they can be, and they're
That's correct. It was a lot of town staff.
well, absolutely, absolutely.
We made sure.
Grit's like I
we made
wanted,
sure
but-
a lot of planning-
And again, Anna and Ned and any
And
other
the
staff
department
members.
heads worked really hard at this too, Alan and Bob.
Alan, everybody that played a part in this. This is a good guideline.
Yep.
It's like a budget is a guideline. This is just a broader budget.
This is a planning tool.
But, we sat down at that joint committee meeting and we decided that the planning commission should have a bigger role in, financial items like this, and this just proves that was the correct way forward, so.
Well, I've got to tell you, I've been around for a while here, and this is probably one of the best ones I've seen.
It's very well done.
Yeah.
He's like, what about the best?
Don't push it.
Yeah. All right, so we've killed that one. I guess we'll move on.
However, we're gonna get that back. We're gonna check the numbers on the 2018, 2019 table.
Yeah.
Will we get our notes? Is that
Actually, all 3 years I have that,
3 years that-
three-
we have to
correct.
make
Yep.
sure that's it.
Right.
And then add in the increase in the year over year for the general fund, just fine.
That way we know.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
And
correct.
then it can come back to you, right?
Perfect.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Awesome. So the next item under planning, we have quite a bit of planning stuff to talk about, is the draft bike and pedestrian ordinance. That was also in your packets.
It's the same one that was in the, sorry, I'm about to say the same one as in the September 3rd package.
Today is that day.
It was in an earlier, July meeting that I was at. And it's the it's basically an ordinance that was developed on how to pay for the sidewalks that we'd like to do over the next 20 or 30 years. And it goes through everything. It's a standard ordinance like the town always uses. It has the same fees that we talked about in prior meetings, including the joint meeting, where it's going to be based on the frontage that a developer would claim along an existing certain town streets. And it's for the areas that are closer to the city and surrounding the city or attached to the city, $35 a linear foot, and then outside of those areas, $17.50. It'll go to a reserve fund and would either expand shoulders, whether paved or gravel, we're not sure, in those areas for the $17.50, and for the $35 a linear foot, those would install sidewalks. But before the question, but the one great thing is because it is lower than it would generally cost. We're going to go after use it as match for grants, so we'll be able to expand the areas, but also we'll be able to keep it contained so that we don't have the notorious sidewalks to nowhere that we have in several areas of town, just so we can have ones that connect the dots and actually have some real serviceability and real usability. Thank you.
I just have a question on the $35. If we look over 10 years or so, how would we go about adjusting that $35 if there was significant inflation?
Well, I was afraid somebody would ask me that question. What we would do is this ordinance would be structured slightly differently than it is actually right here. We would follow a similar plan that Colchester has, where the charge would be pulled out of the ordinance during the hearing phase, and that would be put on the website. This ordinance would refer to the website, and we could change one without having to go through the heavy-duty ordinance reappraisal process. So we could change one, and it would say in the ordinance, the printed copy, subject to change on some sort of logical annual basis.
So are you suggesting that for this?
I'm suggesting it for this, yes.
Okay.
It's a great idea. It makes it easy because you can change one without having to go through a heavy-duty hearing process. But it makes it fair. And additionally, just so to answer, I think, some other questions, is the reason we chose $35 a linear foot. The V-Trans is showing right now for their bid process that it takes about $55 a linear foot to install sidewalks. We knew that we could get some grants. We also wanted to make it a low enough figure so essentially all the developers, none of them would want to construct, that they would just pay this fee and that we could accumulate it and dispense it in logical areas rather than, right in front of a developer that might be half a mile from the end of the sidewalk, where it'd be better to accumulate some and then extend the sidewalk the whole 9 yards.
Right, I think that's smart policy.
I have a change I'd like to request on page 6. I'd like to take policy 4.1, section 1, I guess. I'd like to change basically number 1 under section 4.1. I'd like to just put a period after building. Alterations or expansion of an existing building. I don't see the need to hit someone with an impact fee if they're taking an existing building and renovating it, even if it does create additional housing units in that area. I personally don't see the need to impose another impact fee that further makes us non-competitive with other neighboring municipalities.
I'm not opposed to it if it's gonna increase the population in the area. And, if you're taking a single-family home and you're gonna make a duplex out of it, you're gonna move more people in, there's no sidewalk out there, it increases the foot traffic. I don't agree with you, Brendan.
But I guess it gets back to whose fault is it that the sidewalks aren't there? Is it the fault of the person that wants to add an accessory or turn an existing Victorian house into a 4-bedroom or a 4-unit rental property? Or is it the fault of the town, V-Trans, or the government?
I don't think I'd look at it as the fault of anybody. I look at it as a safety factor for the residents. I don't think we should be faulting people. We should be building stuff that's safe, and we should have safe communities. And sidewalks is a big part of that.
Ned, what's our total per residential unit impact fee right now? Roughly. Within $100.
I'm not sure. It's
2,259.
There you go.
So sorry.
Roughly
Okay.
59.
His voice.
So
so this would essentially change that to say 2,300, something along those lines. Well, because you're putting in more than one unit, sort of was what
if you
I'm
put
assuming.
in,
You put
if
in-
you've got, well, it's all based on your frontage. If you've
Right.
got an existing house with a 600-foot road frontage on Route 7, and you're adding one accessory, or one extra unit in there, and you trigger this $35 per linear foot fee, you've got one extra residential dwelling unit paying a 600-foot times $35 a foot impact fee. It prohibits you from adding, it just makes things cost prohibitive.
Let me talk this over with Becky also, because that section 4-1 essentially mimics the Unified Development Bylaws.
Make it,
So I just want to make sure that the conflict that I hear your concern and I agree with you. I just want to make sure that conflict does not end up causing us problem or potential problems in the future somehow.
and we have to realize that we're not the only community that's looking to experience some serious growth. And we're not the only community that's looking at installing more sidewalks. And we're not the only community that's looking to revamp its existing recreation stock to attract more residents. You've got a major airport redevelopment coming in Highgate. The Highgate Village Master Plan is pretty comprehensive. They've received grant funding to basically remake the village of Highgate into something that a lot more people could be proud of. Not that Highgate is something that you can't be proud of, but Highgate doesn't have an impact fee. Sidewalks for residences, neither does Swanton. You've got the town of Albert could come into play. I mean, you've got people that are, you look at the real estate market and housing stock and who would be moving into a new apartment building or building a new house or purchasing a new townhouse or a condo, and it's a lot of people from Chittenden County. More and more every year I'm seeing personally. They're not going to look at Saint Albans Town as the be-all end-all. We have to be competitive, and there are people like me who develop that are going to look at that, and they're going to say, oh, okay, so if I'm going to put 4 lots in for single-family homes, I'm going to have an extra $9,000 in impact fees that I wouldn't have in Swanton. But it's worth it because they're in Saint Albans Town, because they're going to have sidewalks and they're doing all these proactive things and they're building a new town hall and it's a more attractive area and you've got the downtown. If you're not going to build the sidewalks within a certain set of time, this impact fee for sidewalks doesn't make any sense. I mean, you're not going to you add in another impact fee of what's 600 times 35? You've got almost $20,000 there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another fee. Like, I don't know if it's the.
I don't know many people have a 600 road frontage, 600
No.
feet. That's
a lot.
That
Yeah.
is a lot. I live on French Hill. I got 2 acres and I don't have anywhere near
Well,
600.
200 even.
That's
I think you should take your developer's hat off, Brendan. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking about safety for the community. If you're increasing
It
the
doesn't-
population,
Who
you
pays
should
for
have
it?
the
No,
services
you're
to
bringing
keep
in the wrong
that.
argument into
No,
play.
I'm not.
The health and safety argument is not the same as the who pays for it argument. I agree with you that this network of sidewalks should be built. I just don't agree that this is the right funding source.
I think this is a very common practice in a lot of towns,
It
though. I
is.
mean, not the few that you mentioned,
But we have
but
Franklin
And-
County.
I
and
would
you
be,
take-
I wouldn't be surprised if they also go down this route.
You take a look at
Haven't yet.
the counties around us. I mean, we're way behind time on sidewalks and that stuff.
But we're
But
not.
everybody, and that's how they're getting to build their sidewalks. You know, why should the taxpayers pay for a sidewalk in front of your development?
You
When
haven't.
you're increasing the population and the number of kids that are going to be on that street, that are going to the schools, so on and so forth. Why should the taxpayers absorb that?
let me-
When you're in business and that's the cost of doing business.
That's not the cost of doing business in neighboring towns, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I don't
The
care
other-
about neighboring towns.
You should.
We're talking
we
about
have
this
to be
town.
competitive with our region. And the other point to make is, we have 800,000. I will make this point. We have $800,000+ coming in every year off the local option tax. Right?
And we've got that
was
spent 9 ways to Sunday. We're going to build a new town office. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We did, Brendan.
You have-
we
you
relied
don't
too
have-
heavily on that money.
You don't have to wait 3 to 5 years to build up such a large cash reserve sitting there doing nothing for you that you can pay cash for a $3 million building.
Well, how do you get the money?
Bond it.
That money gets, okay.
Use debt structures to your advantage. If you want to build a network of sidewalks, borrow $10 million over 30 or 50 years and have the LOT fund, a small portion of it, pay for that. I mean, the local option tax revenue should not be leveraged into just municipal brick and mortar. It should be leveraged into sidewalks, water and sewer expansions, anything that we can do to attract people like me to invest in our town to increase the population and our grand list. You shouldn't be taxing or imposing additional fees that aren't competitive with other municipalities in our area to fund something that we could use another funding source that isn't tied up into our general fund and our property tax structure. It just doesn't make sense to me why we have to. We've got more than enough funding coming in to be able to pay for this without having to increase our property taxes. Why do we need to impose a new fee? So we can have another.
Let me interrupt it, because you've gone over this now 5 times. First of all, you're chair. You're not to encourage us to talk. You're supposed to rule on whether we're in or out of order. That's number one. Number two, the impact fee is not for the 400 feet in front of somebody's property. It's for use of all the sidewalks in the town. They're a new person wearing out the sidewalks that were built by other citizens. So I don't agree with you. I hear what you're saying in terms of the cost, just for that house. But it is using the sidewalks throughout the town, and that's why it's an impact fee. What that new person is for using the services of the entire community.
Well, we have no network to use.
We are building that, and it's what a community goes through in terms of its growth.
I think we've talked this one, we should move on.
If somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to move on.
No, to
to-
approve it.
Oh, I'm not
Want to
going, no,
approve it? Or do
no.
we want to move?
Oh, approve
done
the plan,
discussing?
I'm sorry.
Well, if we're done discussing it, somebody should make a motion to approve.
So what we got, the changes that we talked about
Yeah,
earlier.
we will come back and at a future date, come back, because we'll have to have have to have an official hearing and
Yeah.
wait,
An ordinance,
there's a
not a
certain number.
policy.
I forget how many days it is, 45 or 30 days.
So would you just like this tabled at this point in time?
Table it, but get your comments back to me if there's additional comments and concerns.
I have a comment. And it stemmed from my contact with you trying to chase down the 2016 Du Bois and King study. Why hasn't that been implemented? And I kept hearing, planning's got it. Planning's got it. Take it loose out of planning. So one day I was up talking with our wonderful help over there, and I said, the master plan. She said, yeah, we renewed the master plan from 2003. It went to 2016. Then I asked you about it, and you said, this is what this ordinance is for. If you sign that, that master plan goes into effect?
Correct.
Okay. And I've been blaming you guys and ladies, and it wasn't you. It was this board. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm personally thrilled to see this. I mean, if anything, I wish the fees were a little higher because I would like to see more money being invested in infrastructure. I think that's what the survey that came back from the town residents said, that this is what they want. So I'm completely in favor.
Any other comments?
No, I support Jessica. But we're going to have the amendment or the way it's written so that we can increase fees as inflation occurs.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I think we killed that one.
Any comments from the public? Planning Commission have anything to add? Grant?
I just have, I don't know if it's a question or comment. The system that described for setting the rate structure via online or some less rigid place than actually in the ordinance. Having it in the ordinance, I think, does not mean it cannot be changed. It just means it's harder.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be, if it's 99 or 95% of the way there, it may be prudent to adopt the ordinance, knowing that you may have one go-round to make it perfect, rather than sit on it, rather than table it again, and put it on hold. You know, you could progress it sooner rather than later, and still have enough flexibility to circle back at maybe one time. A thought or suggestion.
You can change an ordinance, you can approve an ordinance, it doesn't require a hearing, it just requires approval, and then there's the 40 to 5 day appeal
So I don't
period.
know what the next action would be.
Well,
To
60
get that ball rolling.
when it's final, yep.
I have no problem with that. It's up to the people who have to implement it.
I'm okay with
But
it.
if it,
So leave it in,
my point was, if it's close to getting ready to go, and you
It
guys
is.
felt so inclined, you could
You can
take
do
that
it.
next step soon, tonight, I don't know. Make things happen, I don't know.
I think we've been kicking the can long enough. It's a good one, and I think we should approve it the way it is.
okay? So you'd recommend it, the planning commission go to a public meeting and have an official hearing on,
I don't think you have to have that.
No,
okay, all right.
An ordinance requires select board approval,
Yeah.
then you
Okay.
wait
The
up to 60
60
days
days.
until the appeal period is
Okay.
done.
so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the ordinance the way it's written and presented to us tonight.
You want to make an amendment?
I'm going to vote nay on it regardless, so feel free.
I just want to make sure that we're getting the motion correct, that yours includes the edit that Brendan wanted on page.
No, it does not.
Oh, not the one on page
It ends in the
6.
word building,
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
so no changes
No
as
changes.
no
presented.
changes,
As-
as presented.
okay. Thank you.
Any seconds?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm going to vote nay, just to be on the record for it. I'm not going to have a record of imposing unnecessary fees. Moving on, anyway, I lost that one. Good thing is, we'll all shake hands and we're still friends.
That's
the
right.
end of it. So we're going to move on to stormwater.
Stormwater. Actually, just a quick start with the stormwater. The storm that we had, all of our stormwater stuff is designed to contain a 2-inch rainfall in a 24-hour period.
So yesterday.
No, yesterday was not enough.
What?
It was not quite enough. It was somewhere around 1.25 inches, 1 3/8, something like that. But it was not quite enough, so storm's bigger than that.
Okay,
Now,
that makes
now,
sense.
it filled up a lot of stuff, and yes, it looked like a bunch of water, and yes, it rained fairly steadily, but it didn't quite get to the 2-inch in 24-hour period.
Right, not in
No.
24 hour, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I checked my rain gauge this morning. It was like 2.25 after all the rain we got last night, but
Yeah.
that's not.
But it wasn't,
I hear you.
yeah, they
Where did you
measure
get
it,
your information from?
oh, CAX, so from the media, so.
Okay.
So, but it has to occur in 24 hours. So just an FYI, that was extended over, essentially it was 36 hours worth of rain. So
Still a lot of water.
it's still a lot of water. So, and Alan's still gonna have to pump out some stuff so we can continue to work on one.
It didn't overflow, did it? The city's, no,
We'll knock wood to that one.
yeah.
All the projects are under stormwater review at the state, so all 4 of them are up there at the state right now for review. The wetlands permit for the Industrial Park Drive was issued a while back, and it's under its 30-day comment period. The 30-day comment period should end in a week or so. So we're near the end. We surprisingly haven't had any comments on it yet. They're out to bid. We got the bids today. I have not opened them up yet, so we don't know. But we only got 2 bids, so I'm a little upset that we only got 2 for fairly large sum of money for doing the 2 gravel wetlands. So
So how did you bid that? Where did you advertise it? Just the regular, the local stuff?
we sent it out, and basically anybody who we sent it out to the general contractors that we knew of. Not the Dodge Report, but a couple of the reporting
Works in
services.
progress? No?
Yeah, works in progress.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Probably your best.
yeah, and we sent them, anybody who emailed or requested, they got a copy of the whole
Great.
thing. And
And in fact, a couple of them already commented back on have we received, picked the construction company yet, but we have not, so.
So when you put a bid out like that and you have drawings,
Everything,
everything, okay, do you charge the contractors for the drawings?
yeah.
Great,
We send it out, anybody,
Good.
you send me an email,
good.
we send it to everybody. We keep a list of everybody we send it to, and I hold it in a special file, just so if there's addenda or, changes that we can issue it very, very quickly, but anybody who wants it gets it.
I just bid a job out, it was over $1 million, and all the contractors had to pay for their drawings and specs. Drawings and specs were over $300 a set,
Yeah,
and I was just amazed at the number of contractors that actually put bids in, 6 or 8 of them.
ours was only gonna be around 150 or so, and, it seemed as though
Great.
they were not
Good.
that excited.
Question for you,
Well, you've
Nick.
done your
Sure.
due diligence and getting it out,
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
don't feel bad about too.
So I'm looking at the budget summary for 18-19.
Yes.
The pie chart.
The pie chart, yes.
So you've got a total project cost of $357,750. You've
Correct.
got $178,000 in grants, which leaves about that amount left over. You've got a 50-50 split between the town as a local match and the permit holder as the other percentage of that local match. Now the permit holder, when you look at the roster of different projects that we're looking at implementing, you've got homeowners associations, I imagine.
Correct. And that would be Tanglewood Drive.
Now, I don't want to single out Tanglewood, but has this process been something that, has it included fund verification so that when we get to the point that we have to pay this bill, we know the cash is in hand?
We have signed MOUs with all of them that state that it doesn't give them a dollar value, but it does say the percentage, and
So they're well aware of it, they know they've got
fully
the
aware.
commitment, okay,
Yeah.
that's all, no,
Yeah.
good.
now, as you can see from like some of them, the local match is, I have to say, negligible. A $1,600 local match is not a hard thing for somebody to come up with. Even the 6,400 is not gonna be that hard to come up with. The 64 grand, okay, that's gonna be a bit of a pinch.
That, just a quick one on the industrial park drive. The local match and the town match. Why, I thought we owned the whole thing.
We own the property. The reason that one was done that way is because we had done basically the other ones. We didn't want anyone to feel like they were
Right.
getting a fair.
But- So they don't pay the 64, we pay we pay the whole.
I'm, given that they're signed to the MOU.
Make sure we're not on camera.
Yeah, no, I'm choosing my words very carefully.
Okay, as long as I know.
Yeah.
That's,
Right,
okay,
Yes, yeah,
we own it.
yeah,
We're both sides of that coin.
Yes.
we are essentially,
Okay.
yes, we are. It's on it's in the road right of way, it's on town property, and it is our industrial park, yeah.
I was discounting it for a while.
yeah, that's 64, yeah, no, I hear you. Now that isn't something that'll flow through that industrial park reserve account to be paid back by the park tenants, is it?
That would be a policy question and a sort of
don't
above my
think
pay
so.
grade, but I tend to doubt it.
Well, we charge back for everything else. I'm fine with absorbing it. We make enough revenue off of the businesses in there. I don't feel the need to, again, tax them, but.
Another thing to consider for the industrial park is essentially the vast majority of the stormwater that's going into there is from the roadway, is
Right.
our roads anyway. So
Right.
there's some,
Right. That's
15,
I'm good with
18%, something like that, that's from other sources. You start nickel and diming people, it's, I
that.
hate to say it, but
just
it's just
changes
not
your
work.
pie shape. Let's forget it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It makes the pie a little bit different, but
Yeah.
At the end of the
No
day.
different than the interstate.
So none of the roof drains tie into our stormwater in there? I mean,
no, they should all tie into their own stormwater, because they're all relatively
their
new
own
buildings
permits.
and all have had either previous or existing stormwater permitting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there is one that gets close to where the exit is near, essentially in the ditch that's there today. It'll have a new ditch for itself to exit into the brook. It will not tie into us because it never was planned to go into our stormwater pond and is negligibly longer, in my opinion, than it should have been, so.
What,
And frankly, let me add, our ditch has meandered a little bit towards them, so it'll end up okay.
what, you've got stormwater budgets. The budget looks good. This is a good document. But what do we have for completion target dates? When can we expect to see equipment mobilized?
Well, some of them are already mobilized. If you go up to Hawks Nest and Franklin County Rehab, they're up there. If we didn't get rain and stormwater didn't accumulate in the pond, they'd be at the Hawks Nest one right now. And Alan's guys have been up at the other, Franklin County Rehab
I
last
know
week.
you're watching this, but is there anything that we need to look at or be even remotely concerned about when it comes to the deadlines for some of these grants that are in play?
The deadlines are right around the corner. It's the end of the year, and
Right.
when basically by the time it's December 31st is when these have to be done.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
obviously, in terms of weather, we have to be done well in advance of that.
Right. But you're on track.
We're going to get through by the skin of our
track.
teeth.
How many you got done?
Done.
0.
I'd say we have them underway. Is what I'll say.
So you have none of them complete?
None of them are complete.
How many do you have to do?
4.
Just the 4.
Four.
They're not big ones either.
Well, some of them are.
Oh, the industrial park one.
The
is
industrial park is
Yeah,
big, but
and
you said there
Tanglewood
was a
is-
couple of
the same thing.
small ones.
Franklin Home Health Pond is done.
Oh, it's done.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yes,
So
it
Well,
that's done. I have that one done. And all the clear cutting and weed whacking around the Hawk's Nest is done. I was hoping to be digging today. We had the pond pumped down Friday when we left. Obviously, it raised back up with the rain, so we're just about down again today, pumping. We got rain coming tomorrow. Hopefully by Thursday, Friday, we'll be in cleaning Hawk's Nest. So if not by the end of this week, beginning of next week, we'll be done Hawk's Nest. So those two will be off the books. And we have a deadline of the end of October, beginning of November for the industrial part.
right.
Do you have a fair amount of dredging to do in them?
There's a little bit of settlement, yeah, and there's some invasive species grass that the state wanted us to get rid of.
So my other question is, this is great, we're gonna get these built out, but on the back end, the maintenance, do we have MOUs in place with these
Have
entities?
MOUs, yeah.
Now, who does that designate the maintenance responsibility to?
Well, that's the extension of the stormwater thing is we need to start thinking about a utility, just so we have,
But do you have that, do you have
funds.
that, consultant for the stormwater funding mechanism, whatever it ends up being, utility or otherwise? Do we
That's-
have that person online yet?
not yet, that's my goal thing for this week, to get
Okay.
that up and going and out there.
Okay, so we're gonna have an RFP out for that by the end of the
Actually,
week?
we already have a consultant, we have them selected. They don't know that they're selected, but they were the cheapest.
Okay.
And
All
we're,
right.
we're sort of rearranging what they need to get done and taking a $20,000 program and condensing it to 10, and then we're gonna have them do it.
So has any of the permits expired on these? No?
They've all essentially expired,
Yeah,
but they've all been
lapsed.
put on
Yes.
hold
Right.
until
Right.
we get our MS4 stuff up and running and going, and then at some point in the future, probably 2032 or something like that, more than likely, my guess would be before that, they're gonna start coming back and saying, you've done this one, this one, this one, this one. Those go from being expired on hold, go to
So
being active or whatever.
We'll have built
service.
4 projects to the point that we'll need to figure out who's maintaining them into the future. So
Yes, so we're not in this again.
yes,
Doing this again.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the question is, is it a priority, like top 3 priority, that we have a stormwater funding mechanism for at least maintenance and administration figured out by March to present to the public? Is that something that needs to happen, or can you, I hate adding,
I've already planned on the 2 ponds up near Hawk's Nest and the maintenance plan. and
but this
that.
is only the beginning.
That's what the consultant's gonna
That's what- yeah,
analyze those,
we
so.
already have them.
We're working on it, okay,
yeah.
that's
The
all.
maintenance, it calls for requires an inspection after every major storm too as well, so.
There's gonna be,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a vehicle in play, there'll be personnel, probably at least one full-time equivalent.
Right. Essentially, they should all get weed whacked, depending on the size, the volume, and the amount of sunlight on the pond, essentially once or twice a year. So it's not gonna be a simple, it's a relatively straightforward task, but, we have 4 this year, and let's just say 4 more, and then 4 more. You start getting 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. You
Right.
start getting a really big number, and that means, okay, that's
Well, it's gonna snowball.
full-time for a whole bunch of people to get out
I
there.
mean, this is Operation 1, like, this is our first attempt, like, this is, it's a good attempt, and it's comprehensive, but this is one of probably 20 different stabs at this problem that we'll have to make. The maintenance on the back end.
Well, it's a
Another
20-year
reason why
plan.
we should,
Yeah. These are 4 projects out of approximately 36 in town that need to be dealt with in 20 years. So we got,
you're budgeting personnel too, because we're gonna have personnel increases to
And-
take care of all these
yeah,
P and Ms that we're gonna have to do, new buildings, old buildings,
Right.
vacant buildings,
yeah.
ponds, I mean, on and on.
Do we have any more questions for Ned or the planning commission while we have him here? So
Good
you
job,
guys,
thank you.
do you guys need any help recruiting another member, or you?
We do.
I would say that sounds like consensus to me.
Yeah,
So you're smiling there, are you on the board? You are, yeah, really? What was that? What did he say?
representative.
Keep
What did you
them
say?
around every time we need a quorum.
Keep her out whenever we need a quorum.
That's rough.
There's so much friendliness there.
Yes, it would be great to have 3 or 4 volunteers so we could have some, associate members and some,
We are friends at the local paper could make a
Well, you
plug
got
for
some,
us.
you got
Need a
some
planning
real,
commission
you got some
member.
exciting stuff
Real
going on. You
Add an
think
alternate
some
if we're gonna dream.
people would wanna get involved,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going for a plug here, the work that we were handed this summer was some of the more interesting work that I've done, at least since I've been on planning. Transitioning the water to water treatment work, it's not just bylaw, comp plan.
Right. You don't have to touch a town plan for like, what, 6 years roughly? Before you even have to start
I
thinking
thought it was
about
longer
it?
than that now.
Well, before you
Oh,
have to have one approved. by-
Based on,
like,
yeah.
This is the right time to get on the planning commission for a 3-year
And
term.
it certainly, even with the bylaws and plans and stuff, I mean, that's, there's a lot of education there.
Right.
If a person is thinking about, introducing himself to local government,
Planning
there's
commission's
a
a good
lot
place
to
to
be
start.
learned. Free education.
Yep.
Hey, just as a quick plug, for new members, we're going to be going after a municipal planning grant to think about what we're going to do with the old DPW yard. So,
Very nice.
fun stuff coming up in the next year or so, so get on board now, please.
And we could see, well, we're talking about grants that were awarded. I read in the messenger that Swanton was successful in receiving a planning grant from Aquam Shore.
Oh, yeah, they were.
They got,
Yeah.
they put in, 3 applications and all 3 were approved?
Yeah.
Like, other communities, they're stepping up their game too. I mean, we got to form partnerships now. So whatever Swanton Selectboard members, if you're listening or watching, if you need anything from the town as you facilitate that process, I can think of at least one member that would be an excellent resource to you. We're looking to be partners to our neighboring municipalities. We want to help.
Sounds like you're ready for number C.
Yeah,
Health path.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good segue. Thank you, Ned.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the town I spoke with, a couple individuals early in the summer. They encouraged us to apply for a grant, and we did receive word late last week that we received that grant for about $32,000 to do everything on the list that they told us we needed to do to proceed with the health path. So that was great news.
That is great news.
And so now we're gonna pursue that, obviously. I don't have any other.
So that's a consultant. Eric Ailing was the
Eric
consultant.
was from the, what firm?
Stantec.
Okay, all of a
But
sudden
we had a list that V-Trans had given us that
That's
looked
what I-
pretty daunting.
yes,
And we decided that for $2,500 or so was the most that we spent.
it
on
wasn't
it,
even
so-
that much money.
Right.
He's really good at this, and he did that. He
We-
wrote a successful grant.
We
It's awesome.
we needed help. We paid for it.
Yes.
We invested in the project. We turned that money into about $32,000. That'll be further invested in the
Right.
project. it's a lot of red tape and it's not moving along as fast as any of us would want.
That is
But these are
correct.
concrete steps, and the fact that V-Trans will ultimately will have the biggest say in this decision is awarding us money to work towards its implementation. That's a positive sign for us.
They know I think the meeting accomplished a couple of things, but the biggest one was that they know we're serious and we all realize we need this project, and that we're gonna keep pushing forward with it. May
good
be
news.
difficult, but we're gonna keep pushing.
It's real good news.
Yeah, so that's good news. Does anyone have any questions?
Not on that. Any questions from the public on that one?
Yet another reason for somebody to volunteer for the planning commission.
Yeah, yeah.
Shameless plugs, enough.
Sorry.
So there's no motion
I
needed
just
on that, but,
asked a question on a grant, Carrie, on this letter that you received.
yep.
It said funding will be available once a grant or agreement with the Agency of Transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that underway?
That's standard protocol, and yes, it always is. It's
Okay.
just that you can't push them too quickly, so.
Is that underway, the agreement with the Vermont Transportation?
Yeah, they have a standard grant agreement they send to us. It might be
Okay.
30 pages, of which 3 are really
The-
critical.
I know you just got this on the
Yep.
27th of the
Correct.
month, and I
Yep.
just make sure that we're,
We usually turn it around that day because it's
Okay.
fairly
All
straightforward,
right.
so, but some of those V-Trans grants, the only downside is they're not fast, always,
Good.
as fast as we would like. But
but we gotta keep,
It's, but this is the game we had to play. We absolutely needed it.
But you add up everything that the state's awarded us in the last 24 months. I mean, you've got significant paving grants in DPW. You've got Better Back Roads grants. You've got 300
Structures, yeah.
$376,000 for our new salt shed, and now you've got $32,000 to help plan the health path. So, I, for one, as a municipal person, can't really complain about the state. I wish they'd move faster, but
Yeah.
Well, since we have a state representative here, we could also say we'd like them to allocate more money.
yes, yes.
So what can you do to get them to pick the pace up a little bit?
Consider that done, right?
You can make some calls. Record them. I'd love to listen to them someday.
So the next item has to do with what was discussed at the last meeting. Quiet Your Ride campaign that the city initiated seemed to get quite a bit of support from the select board at our last meeting.
You're looking for like roughly $1,500 to buy.
Yeah, I didn't know
signs.
what we didn't discuss, which is unlike me to ask this, is what your comfort level was for a budget.
$1,500 buy a lot of signs,
It
wouldn't it?
does buy a lot of signs. We don't need to go that high even.
I think you start with like
a third of that.
not even. I think you start with maybe a handful of them and see if they go.
Yeah, but there's a volume issue. What does
Yeah.
sign cost?
How many different signs are there? There's just one?
Well, there's three.
There's
There's three
three. They're
different?
in,
They all
they're
say
in your
same thing.
packets.
Yeah,
So I can't remember how much they were. Every 50.
I would buy a few
Yeah, just
and
to
have them on
see.
hand, and if nobody comes, don't invest in
Buy
any
one.
more.
Well, even if you end up spending $10
They're the
a
signs.
piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
these are the signs.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
these are
oh.
the signs.
Everybody pointing.
So we could pick one, buy a few of them, a couple
Well, we
dozen
don't-
or
we
something.
Has
wanna-
anyone called the town asking for them?
Nobody has yet that I'm aware of. That's a good point. So we probably
You'd have to
shouldn't
make
start
some
with a couple
design.
hundred.
Yeah.
Let's start with a low number.
Well, yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
you order like 5 of each and see what happens.
I think we just order one kind.
Wow,
The
yeah,
volume
order-
is
Well, you gotta
pick your
change.
color.
Well, they're just different color. They say the same thing.
Well, they just the little spots at the top change.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I
just,
mean,
why don't you order 10 of each, 10, 20 of each?
well, I just or 10 period just to see if you go through them. I don't know, but you just only amendment being changing the logo in the bottom right hand corner, and then
Yes.
instead of keep it our city, like town.
well, right.
Can we do that?
We could just
Oh, yeah.
not get that
We
one.
can?
Yeah, they said
But all
they'd
of
print us
it,
up.
they
some.
all have the city's logo.
Oh.
So, and it's messenger marketing. I mean,
I've
we can
spoken
change
to
that
her
easily. Maybe.
So we can legally do that, although they designed
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They wouldn't mind. They
I
probably.
mean, when you're
be-
driving by, you don't necessarily see the logo, but we'll change it.
Maybe we should.
So Gary, just purchase a few and have them on hand.
Yeah.
Just so
like-
that if somebody walks in the door, we do have one.
Right.
Correct.
If people that don't participate, we should have that avenue.
And if you run out, Have Ned run up to the city and pluck a few lawns.
Oh my God, you did not just say that. We're not gonna do that, just kidding.
So to get to Gary's question, how many should we buy?
15, 20,
15?
something like
Yeah.
that. Just see
I
if we
wrote down
actually,
10 to 20, I don't know,
we go
that's what
through.
I heard.
whatever they can order them in multiples of, I would say.
Okay,
Yeah, because
make it work.
that's a fair amount. And then if you need more, you need more. Like test the
I
water.
get it,
and-
I just hadn't asked the question.
Perfect.
So the E, actually put identifiers on here, the grant update, historic preservation, we're working on that. Jen's been working on it with Alan. We did get a grant specifically to redo the cupola. I think it's gonna have a copper roof, is that correct?
Oh, beautiful.
That's gonna look beautiful when we're done. And some of the, go ahead.
Doors also.
Mm-hmm.
The doors, you said the
The
doors?
big exterior wooden doors.
Oh,
Because
oh,
we
oh.
did the metal
Right.
windows and doors, but now this is the big thick ones that look like they came from the movie Shrek, you know, they're
So
they're
you're
so
gonna,
big.
They're gonna be stripped down, taken off, stripped down, the rotted wood cut off, all wood put back on. They'll have brass kick plates on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
protected from-
It's gonna be nice.
nice.
And,
A
they're
major
also
upgrade.
gonna be looking into the locks and knobs on it to meet the era of that building. Instead of having a bunch of padlocks over there, we'll actually be able to enter into them like it used to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the cupola will be redone, any dry rot taken off, all new boards, copper
Great.
top, and a new weather vane.
Beautiful.
So,
And we have to make a plug. We had an advocate on the historical preservation board that pitched that project, Joe Luno. We owe him a thanks. I mean,
Yeah.
he comes here on behalf of Sam when they need something like that increase in funding last budget cycle. Thank you.
This work should begin after September 9th. Right.
yeah, it's for this fall.
It's
When the bids went out, it was so the parks were closed. So,
Where did you find a craftsman like that would do that work?
we actually only had two bidders. One was a gentleman that lives in Swanton. He's worked on some historical buildings in Enosburg. And the other was Pete Charbonneau that is local, and he actually is the one that won the bid.
Oh, great, great.
Good.
So
Well, that's good. You've got local
Have you-
people working
have
on
you-
that building.
Have you seen his work? Any work that he's done?
I have, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful.
Anyway, so work's gonna continue, and the windows and doors look great, so.
It's a great update.
The last item on here, I actually already covered, I don't know why I have it on there twice, so that's the same grant, the bike and ped grant. So we'll go to F, which is our proposed FY '21 budget. Last year, we started our kickoff meetings in, I think, the very beginning of December, and I'm gonna try to do that in October this year, so I sent you a copy of a calendar, hoping you pencil in those dates on your calendar. It's essential for the whole select board to be there. Department heads seem to be on board with it. So we're gonna try to kick off our budget in October, hopefully getting the majority of it done in advance of the month of December.
So the question I have, you also said you wanted to switch the select board meetings to the second and fourth Mondays?
I did.
And when did you want that to kick in?
I was thinking January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not right away. Give everyone time, because I know a lot of employees schedule their vacations around when our meetings are so that we can attend. And I
So
don't wanna-
what was that again? You wanted to reschedule them for when?
The second and fourth Monday of the month instead of the first and third.
Okay,
because there's
so
a lot
that's,
of-
I have a conflict with that with the school board meetings.
Okay.
We can hold off on that then.
What about other days?
Isn't the 4th, it's the week of Thanksgiving and Christmas? The 4th week.
But not usually
Always was
Monday.
before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What
so
we're talking
before
about
that
is we
week.
seem to have to reschedule more of our meetings when we're trying to do the first and third.
So
but
why does it have to be on a Monday, though?
Yeah, it's
Doesn't.
It actually doesn't. It could be on a Tuesday. Well, no, you guys.
Planning
Planning
commission's on
Tuesday.
Tuesday, DRB's on Thursdays.
And Men's League at the golf
Wednesdays.
course is on Wednesdays, so that's
Wrong with Wednesdays?
as long as it's not the last Wednesday of the month,
Why?
because the last Wednesday is
Regional
Regional Planning
Planning.
Commission.
You don't go?
Oh,
Oh, so sad.
I don't. Like,
No, it's
Well,
hard.
I mean, if
but-
it's a Wednesday, we could leave it on the 1st and 3rd or something.
I don't like Wednesdays.
You don't like Wednesdays?
I don't like Wednesdays. I've got a selfish reason for not.
Okay, I
liking
know, I
Wednesdays.
understand
Really?
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a league. Tuesday, maybe, the
Must be
1st and
gone.
3rd.
Fridays are out.
The one day of the week that I still get to play golf is on Wednesdays. But if
So,
I gotta
um,
sacrifice it, that's not a big deal.
No, but it still could be, so we can think about it, but
Yeah, let's
And-
think about it.
let's
We
think
got
about
plenty
it.
of time.
We
Yeah.
do, but
But if
let's
we
think
can-
about it, because it could be a different night.
Yeah. We can make it work better. It might be better for the staff too to have more than just one day to prepare for these. Like if you have questions that come in from board members over the weekend, you might have another couple days to respond to them.
No, I was thinking of Sunday night. There's
Oh.
nothing on TV.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars.
Football's on.
Well,
Not Sunday night.
No,
Just teasing.
we've got
That was
time.
awful. All right, so that's all I have on that one.
That's a good idea though, moving that up.
budgets, you get an answer yet on the budget?
I did not.
Oh, those days work for me.
Okay, great. You?
Sure.
Excellent.
What time?
Well, I usually like to start those early because I'll get some food and, 5:30.
5:30 is good.
Yeah,
Okay,
5:30
5:30.
is good.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks, Gary. So that was one of the longest town manager's reports that I've ever had the
I know.
privilege
Well,
of
we had stuff.
participating in.
Beautiful. The information you sent us though was comprehensive and fascinating. I'm glad I have a computer because I'd hate to print out 110 pages.
It was a lot, I
I
know.
had to. Because you need a new computer.
I need a new computer. If anybody has any recommendations.
I don't know if you want to do the other business now?
Yes, I need to go to other business.
Then
I
you-
didn't know about the chair's report.
Well, we have,
Are we going to do the
let's go over schedule.
works ordinance?
Yeah, we're gonna
Yes,
do it under
other
Oh,
business.
excuse me.
We're gonna do that right at the end. So schedule, our next meetings are Monday, September 16th and October 7th. We should also, I know Anna's not here, but we should schedule our next meeting for the Town Hall Relocation Committee. Give me a week and I'll make it happen. I'm out of town tentatively, a week from, 2 weeks from today. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be in Pennsylvania. But other
Well,
than that-
we'll send out an email.
yeah, do it exactly how you've been doing it.
Yep.
Perfect.
I'll do that.
But we should continue.
I don't like to usually announce when people are gone.
Okay.
Chair's report.
I will forego.
Okay. So under other business, as we amended our agenda, I would like to propose the parks ordinance as we have revised it. Okay, questions?
I see the
Just
two.
unfortunately, I agree, but on 7.4.5, it's exception of the town schools. Since the town schools are now into the Maple Run School District, I wonder if we need to change.
Yeah, Maple Run. Yeah. Any properties owned by the Maple Run School District. Or whatever it is. That needs to be.
I think it's Maple Run.
Yeah,
Do you
Maple
want
Run.
to say all the schools in Maple Run though?
MRUSD.
Well, they
In this
own,
area, Fairfield,
yeah.
All right,
It's a cutesy name.
city and town.
I just pay attention
it's just Maple Run School District
to
then.
Milton Town School District.
Yep.
Yep, that's true. Okay.
Um,
7.4.5.
any
And
other
you can s-
amendments?
And one I had.
Okay.
Okay, if all, anything?
No.
Any comments from the public?
I just have, well, go ahead and finish that and I'll just,
I
I
got a-
have a
other
bookmark at the
business.
end.
Alan?
Oh, but before we
We're
go
gonna,
on,
Ready
we
to
gotta
go
make
there
a vote
yet?
to, we've gotta
Motion-
vote to
vote.
approve it.
Wait a minute.
For the,
Are we still on Parks ordinance with this?
yes,
are we?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we're still on
Yeah,
Parks
we can,
ordinance.
you making the change, we'll approve it.
You
Yeah.
could approve
Yeah,
it with
that's
those changes, it's
Then
one
I'll bring
word.
it back to the next one.
Make a motion to
Yeah.
approve it.
Make a motion to approve the town parks ordinance as amended.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna vote on that one, cause this has been long enough. 5-0 for that one. That gets a special note.
So I just want to make a note too, I got comments from two different people about, somebody apparently thinking they can shoot birds in the town park.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I think we all got the
Oh,
email
yeah.
on that.
Yeah,
And it's
And
a
I-
little bit disturbing, actually,
Yeah.
to think that somebody would discharge a weapon down there.
correct. So I also got a call today.
Yeah.
on that. Somebody saw that happen again today, so
Again today?
yeah, so I called the police this morning to enforce the fact that it's prohibited in our parks now, with the exception, as we just noted, of the town forest.
Right.
So, Jason, Lieutenant Weatherby and I discussed, posting it as well.
No, definitely.
Literally putting up signs at the entrance and, of all the parks that it's prohibited, just as a bookmark.
Well, that's a whole nother set of rules and fines that come into play.
Correct,
to
and
it.
so, and Lieutenant Weatherby said, once that is posted, he will issue a press release. He will also tell patrols to enforce, actively right now to
Do you need
stop
any
that
posted
practice.
signs?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of
Yes.
things. Isn't there a law that says you can't discharge a firearm from a moving vehicle?
Yeah.
That you have to be so many feet away from a residence or a business or anything?
Yeah.
I mean, none of that works down there. I mean, that's violating every law.
Don't discharge firearms in the Bay Park or Cone Park. That's
Well,
the
we're
last
asking
thing
for
I'm gonna
extra
say about it.
patrols. You'd be
Yeah.
wise to not do that.
I
And
wonder if we should extend it down there because they could shoot from the Black Bridge. We're talking about just the park. I don't think they should be discharging guns down there at all.
Well,
And
it's
that-
illegal to do it from the road, but yeah.
Steve Benioff, I mailed Dahl, and
Yeah.
I apologize to him, but your mail kicked it back, so. I
Do
don't
you-
know what happened, I was the one who sent the letter.
Sir, do you wanna come up to the table? Do you have a? Yeah, come right on up.
Can't hear me. Just a quick comment, I'd like you to also note that the dock, I hope you include the dock, because some of the hunters have shot off the dock. This really isn't all new news, this has been going on for years. Previous discussions I've had with our, folks, who worked over there said that there was no posting or any illegal effort about shooting in the park, because in Vermont, you're pretty much free will. Now, Black Bridge is state hunting, I think Black Bridge, you can hunt down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Again, so the park proper is the only really concern that I had, and the dog. But I realize we're surrounded by a lot of hunting area.
Right.
I don't think you should be in that.
Well, we agree with
it's
that.
not, it's prohibited there. I think
It
we're
is, but
just
this is the
reinforcing.
first I've heard of it, and I've talked to several other select boards and park managers before. and I've never
This
heard
is-
that.
I don't remember being asked that in at least the last
this is the
7
first I've
years.
heard of the problem.
Uh,
We haven't been faced with that before.
I don't
Because
know.
No.
this has been going on, as I say, for years.
Yeah.
And when I addressed it before, it was like, well, it's really not a clear policy or a clear ordinance, so.
Well, we do.
everyone said, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
That is just,
No,
Well, we hope this addresses
It's good
it,
to know.
but
It's good
Yep.
to know you.
It does.
Where does that park end, Ellen? They got a lot of hunting on that walkway, right?
yeah, that's what I,
Yeah, it's, well, where we have the yellow chain, where the property ends, you mean,
Yep.
for the, we have that yellow chain that we drop for the ice fishermen.
Yep.
Just about 10 feet past that is the end of the property line.
But
Put up a-
not anywhere in
Goes
that
all the
area.
way
I
to
think you're
the
gonna
border.
see a
That would
pretty,
suffice, from what I've seen over the years, that would
Yeah.
suffice, include the dog.
yeah,
just
post
the
it
park.
all.
And, you know,
Yep.
then you're separating the hunting.
post it all, yeah.
Yeah, let's get back to.
We can't actually have 4 people
Let's-
talking. We
I-
can't hear anything. We
All
can't
right,
do minutes.
Everybody back, right here. Mr. Fairbanks, you still have a comment?
I think when the town took over the park, I think the deal was, the park went all the way to the end of the bridge.
Oh, we'll have to
Ooh.
research that.
I don't know about that.
The road, the state still owns.
Right,
The state has a 33-foot right-of-way from the center line. They actually own part of the park almost, right-of-way almost to the walking path.
okay.
That's why I'm a little concerned when you get down there, 33 feet would get you in the water.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But let's,
But anyway, we are addressing it
yeah, we're
and,
working with the police department and
yes.
you should see that curb, and if we need posted signs, I'd love to donate a few of them. Let me know. I can't believe
How
that.
long does it take you to get
All you
signs?
gotta do is legally post it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, this ordinance effectively posts it,
It
but
may
yeah.
say-
it's a sign,
Oh, they are.
sign it for the town.
Yep. Yep.
Register it with Sherry, Town Hall, or Town Park.
Anna, yeah.
And register it with them, we get fish and game, it's legally posted, they have to enforce it.
Well, I mean, it's already against the law, but we're gonna take that secondary step just as another precaution.
Yeah, but years back, it used to be, the park was open to hunting saying there's a state park there.
Right.
15th of October after.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, so we're gonna post it, and that should help. I mean, you see people hunting on posted property all the time. I can't guarantee anything, but we're working on it.
Right.
And if you have any more incidents to report, let us know. Police
Actually,
department.
if there's an incident that happens, call 911. Don't, I mean, you
Yeah.
can call me after, but don't call me first.
Keep us apprised.
No, the signs are going up. Past years, I've called the police several times. Unfortunately, by the time they show up or when they show up, I think I was told it's really not.
If there's any way that you
Well,
can,
previous to your this information tonight, everybody assumed then, incorrectly, that it was acceptable, as Mr. Femick said.
Right.
Wow, I don't know how anybody could assume that.
yeah, because the only way you can hunt on, I mean, like that.
Anyway,
is
so
even-
hopefully we've
only
cleared
way
that
for
up.
you.
All
So,
right, that's all
again,
I have.
Another note of that for the public, if you see anything happening that concerns you related to hunting and hunting activities in the parks, so anything that's unsafe, a lot of us carry smartphones. Right. A lot of us carry smartphones. Take pictures. That's always helpful for the police. If you can write down a license plate number, do it.
If you can do it safely, yeah.
Right. If you can do it safely, do it. But any information to help SAPD would be
Right,
appreciated.
I got something to say about the park and the dock. And I see, Alan, you put the benches out and the
Oh, the
flower
park
pots, right? I think that's
Yes.
great. Fantastic job. You just, Alan needs all the credit in the world. He just continues to improve things down there and make it look really nice.
And he brought
And
that
I-
idea to
I
the
personally
Parks
thank you
Committee.
very much for it.
So I went out there walking to see it. And I'm coming back off the pier and somebody says to me, says, well, why didn't he do it earlier?
That's a thank you.
Yeah. Great job.
Seriously.
Nice job, it
And
is.
the
looks
Parks
good.
Commi- The Parks Committee too. I mean, I know you guys played a part in the advocating for that and,
Yeah,
you know, good work all
came out
around.
better than we thought, I think.
And it's getting used.
And it's getting used.
People seem to really
Right.
like it too. Gotten so many positive comments.
You know, nobody's painted on that sign though, other than the flowers.
Yeah, I don't know. I sent it out to the Arts Council and they sent out a message to all their people, but yeah,
I
we
mean,
could
it is
ask the
beautiful,
community
but-
too, with the art
Yeah.
wall. Anybody can come
Use
and
it.
paint it.
Alan,
As long as they're
under other business,
Uh-huh.
Right.
talk about rotating.
Not
As
use
long
words.
as long
or
as it's.
symbols that are.
It's not happening yet. No.
So an update on our road.
No, I
paving.
actually, I just talked to them again today. I got a call back from them before I came to the meeting. Still looking at, middle of September this month, getting in with the cold planing, hoping to hit our deadline. They have a ton of work and they've been swamped getting in another state, doing state work, and, but he did tell me that in the middle of the month, he's looking to get the cold planer in here and start cold planing, so.
How come we're always at the back of the bus every year?
Figured
Last year, we had all the paving done before July.
we did. We had a little bit of extra done
It's
too.
just
didn't we?
been, paving companies are running into the same problem in municipalities. They're having a hard time keeping staff, people that wanna work.
Wow.
The New Hampshire state, their companies, they didn't have anyone qualified enough to be working on state projects, so they're yanking the crews from Vermont to work down there.
Holy smokes, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's been,
Wow.
it's been a tough year, so they're actually trying to get the New Hampshire crew to come up to start doing some of the town work that they can. So, but we're still online. I'm calling them every week, just bugging them a little bit, but
And you also talked to the line painting guy. I know I've received at least one request or two for French Hill Road. We are aware it needs to be painted. There's a couple roads that need to be painted before it gets cold, and we're hoping that guy's coming soon
yeah,
too.
the paint.
That the same guy we used last year before?
No,
Okay.
And then, and another, while we're talking about French Hill, we
it
need
was
to,
squiggly.
we need to start talking about,
He knows what there's a little undercutting that he's gonna take care of.
Yes. Yep, that too.
Yeah, there's, some shoulder work up there to be done. I'm a little behind on that, even though we got the shoulder machine. I'm waiting on the cold planings to come from our
Right.
roads to use on shoulders, so.
Right.
Instead of wasting taxpayer money getting stone that'll wash out and holding tight to get the cold planing. So
Get the right
it's all
material.
properly.
Just recycle it?
Are we up
Yep.
to
Good
all our
move.
commitments on
Already
roads?
spent re-injecting it.
Absolutely.
Yes, well, we only have the two, which is Forest Drive and then out near Gricebrook. I have got the ditches cleaned out there recently, you might notice. Dig Safe is being done, that should be back within the next 2 days, so the ditches will start to get clean. And the brush at the end is all gonna be taken down, so. I know it's a little longer than I had originally told you, but it is in the process, it is on the work list. And it should be in the next week or two, I say that. All the dig safes are done, so. And then Forest Hill, or Forest Drive, I'll be checking that again for potholes and stuff.
One more in case there's any potholes before bad weather.
Before bad weather.
No, you're really on top of it. You're doing a good job. And all your little extra work in the parks, it all adds up, and we're
Are you
really happy.
Are you still at 100% strength, your
The crew?
crew?
Yeah.
Good.
You've got a good crew. We actually, that's one thing that I want to talk about under the chair's report was we had the annual late summer barbecue for the town's employees, and a few select board members attended, and it was actually prepared largely by Alan and John Montague, another DPW crew member who owned and operated the Wooden Nickel, where Bronson Landing is now. And we have such a multi-talented crew. I mean, Alan is he's good at public works. He's also good in the kitchen.
Yeah, he stepped it up a little this year. We had
Yeah, he
some really
did.
good food.
And John, we
It's
have
great.
we have an annual Christmas party in this room that's not as large. John, we're preparing for John and Alan to take that over too instead of catering it out. We're really lucky to have the people that we have at all levels, from down to the park staff. We had a couple issues a couple years ago with the park staff. That's all seemed to be fixed, and we're running smoothly there. I mean, our personnel rank and file could not be in a better place right now.
Except home.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. With that,
I just take all the credit for John's the one that did all the cooking, I might have threw the menu together, but
hey, you helped,
Except
I
home.
give all the credit to John on that.
because you're a good guy.
He's good. You
And
guys
with
did a
that, the
great
staff
job.
wants to go home. So, Al,
I just have one more point. At the end of the report that Carrie sent us, I would ask people to look at the NRPC Regional Plan Indicators. It's a very interesting report. Tells us a lot about the community.
right. Okay. So, anyone you want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go home. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
A lot covered in it.